hello. It's a windy day. You're going to hear wind. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. And I want to talk about all the 2025 releases that I read last year, including translations that might have come out earlier, but this is the year that they were all translated for. I think I have between 25 and 30, which is pretty good. I feel like I usually am in the 30s, so maybe this is a smidge less than normal, but I feel good about it. And I've grouped them into their genres, and so you can hop around and pick the genre that you care the most about. That seemed to make the most sense. Some years I tier rank it, but this year felt better to just put things in their genres and just talk about them. So let's start. I only have one book in this one, so this is nonfiction, and this is Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I really like it. I love well done science nonfiction. This is accessible. This isn't actually too dumbed down or anything like that. It's human, so it's going to work well with that connection piece. Like, in terms of science communication, I adore this book. Okay? I learned a lot from this book. Like, not a whole lot. I teach microbiology, so I know what tuberculosis is. I know a lot about the mycolic acid and, like, stuff about it I know. But I did learn a lot about the social side of it, like the health project side of it, and I thought that was really interesting. John Green does the narration for the audiobook, so it's done pretty well. And so, like I said, I think it's a fairly engaging story. Well, it's not a story, but it's an engaging work of nonfiction. It does have a story element to it. Like, I think that's a great way to do it. It's like you're teaching people things, but you also give them a story to keep them engaged. Again, classic communication. My next smallest category is probably romance, so we'll do that one next. We've got Problematic Summer Romance. I really liked this one. I don't know, I like Ali Hazelwood. It's popcorn for me. It's nothing that deep. I don't think about them that long after the fact. I enjoy them in the moment I'm reading them. This was the age gap one. It's probably not as steamy as some of her other ones, so, I mean, that was fine for me, but yeah, it's got 2-ish timelines, I feel. I did like that it was a wedding, like a destination wedding romance. I mean, I like that in movies. I also had a destination wedding, so, like, nostalgia. Like, I just enjoy it. Also read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I read a lot of Ali Hazelwood new releases because, again, they are like catnip to me, and I had a lot of moments this year where I needed catnip, where I needed to just turn the brain off. It's not even like I turn it off, but I needed my brain to be completely focused on one thing, and Ali Hazelwood works for me in that way. Deep End is a kind of more of a sports romance. They're college athletes who compete in, like, water Olympic activities, and I like Olympic things a lot. Like, I'm getting very pumped for Winter Olympics, like, very pumped. Maybe I'll read The Familiars. What is it called, The Familiars? I don't know. The Favorites. That's gonna be, like, that's a figure skating thing, like, that's based off Wuthering Heights. Maybe I should read that. So I really enjoyed that. That one actually exceeded my expectations. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was dual POV. Neither of them were, and I wish they were, because I really like the dual POV of Not in Love. Like, I really did. And then my most disappointing was Say You'll Remember Me. I've talked about this a lot because it was, like, on a disappointing video sort of thing. It's the new Abby Jimenez, and I love Abby Jimenez. I actually, now in paperback, own the Part of Your World trilogy. And I really love those, like, a lot. And this one, I think, was just a little too melancholy for me. I think it was a little too somber. I love the beginning, and then I think it just took a little too long to get happy again, for me and my tastes. So now let's just also switch into Romantasy. I have a handful here. Continuing on, my last Ali Hazelwood for the list, Mate. This is her paranormal romance series. I like it, I don't love it. This is easily my least favorite of the Ali Hazelwood I read, especially kind of disappointing because I thought I would love it after reading the beginning of it, but I just don't think the payoff for me was good. And let's see. I put this one here, even though, like, Mate feels more like contemporary romance, even though it's paranormal, and similarly, I Got Abducted by Aliens and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com. Feels more like contemporary romance, but it's on an alien planet with aliens, so it's, I don't know, I put it in the Romantasy category, but it doesn't feel like Romantasy books. And this one's just wild, absolutely unhinged. If you don't want to read erotica, don't pick this up. I think how it shifts from erotic scenes to plot scenes is beyond clunky. And yeah, I think that's just going to be jarring. That doesn't mean I don't recommend it. You just have to be the right reader for this type of book. It is short. It's like 200 some pages. Probably my favorite in the Romantasy was Rebel Witch, a sequel in the Crimson Moth duology. It's a young adult romantasy, and I just really love the tension. I really enjoyed how it played out. I mean, I don't like it as much as the first book, Heartless Hunter, because it has to handle things it sets up very quickly at the end of the book, and I couldn't help but feel jarred by that while reading it. And especially I feel there was some character development that happened real quickly, like some plot stuff happening quickly. I can get over it, but there was some character stuff that happened very quickly that I think we could have planted the seeds for a little stronger earlier on in the novel. And then we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I don't really think this is a Romantasy book. I think this is a fetch quest book, but it's part of the Fourth Wing series. I did not read this for the romance. If you read this for the romance, I think you'll be disappointed. All right, now into other things. So I think my next read category is horror, then sci-fi, then fantasy. I have a bunch of fantasy, apparently. So let's start with horror. My least favorite was The Unworthy. This was a translation. It's the same person who wrote Tender is the Flesh. I like Tender is the Flesh more, although I don't love it that much. In this one, I think I was two parts. I was a little bored. And then I was also just like, because I was bored, going like, oh, look at you making this character awful and doing that shocking thing, and I'm supposed to emotionally respond to that. Well, I'm not. Like, I don't know. I just was very unimpressed. I didn't really like it that much. I wasn't connecting to it. And because of that, at times it felt just gratuitous for gratuitous sake. Not in a way that I couldn't handle, but in a way that just like, that shrug is how I feel about The Unworthy. But Not Too Bold is a translation that came out from Tor as a novella that is kind of like horror, monster, folklore, romance. I didn't know what genre to put this in, so I put it here. Like, if you don't like spiders, there's a lot of tarantulas. Like, they're like pets. And our main character basically gets promoted. Has to go work in the part of this house where our monster overlord lives. And she has this promotion because the previous version of her was eaten by the employer. And so it's just known how dangerous this job is, but it's also the only thing anyone in this house has ever known. There is this dark, like this deep loyalty that's happening here. And I really just liked the writing of it. I thought it fit that like gothic, dark, fairy tale folklore vibe incredibly well, which you know I love. So this worked really well for me. And then we got The Possession of Alba Diaz, the new Isabel Cañas. Not my favorite, but still very good. I love the historical horrors with romantic tension that Isabel Cañas brings to the table. I don't know necessarily if I could say if you'll like this one more or less than the other ones you've read by her. For me, it's at the bottom, but I still gave it 4 stars. I still had a great time. It's a good possession story. I really did enjoy the possession story elements because we get the point of view of the person being possessed, and I think that's just very fun. I think I could have adored this if different decisions in the ending were made, and I'll just leave it at that. And I do think that maybe I like some of the other ones more because I liked some of the romances in the other ones more, and this one's probably my least favorite romantic pairing. And that's probably part of it. Like, I think the horror elements are just as strong, if not stronger, than, say, Vampires of El Norte. But the actual character interactions between our two leads, I like here, but don't love as much as some of the other ones. And so the last horror book, easily my favorite, is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. Such a well-constructed work. It's just so well-constructed. It's got a story within a story within a story, so I love that nested narrative quality to it. We have definitely something inspired by classic, not mixed media, but like, epistolary horror, like gothic horror, but it takes place in West North America during early pioneering days. And yeah, it's just creepy. And the tension is first just there under the surface. You're like, what's happening? And you have multiple levels of horror. You have the horror of what happened to one of our characters and the compromises they have to make to survive. And to survive as who they are. Still one of the most chilling things I have ever read is this character's realization of what they have to do to survive. So good. And then you just have the guilt and tension of our other narrator who's realizing that they might not get away with what they got away with, and revenge is coming. And again, also really good. And we have someone who's just observing this from afar, and then suddenly this historical story from like 100 years ago is in her backyard, and the tension that comes with that. I really adore it. I can see some people not liking the pacing, but I do think it's a slow burn horror with amazing payoff for me. Like, I don't mind a slow burn horror. It's honestly my preference, as long as it sticks the landing, and I think this one did. Let's now go into science fiction, which was like primarily continuations in series for me in my 2025 reading. Let's start with The Unkillable Princess, which is the sequel to The Immortality Thief, which is still the most underrated thing that I talk about on this channel that I like, I feel. I think this book has like 100 reviews, not even, on Goodreads. It's so fun. This is heisty. It's got the found family. It's well-paced. I really enjoy it. You gotta try out The Immortality Thief. Meet Sean. Sean is so fun. Like, Sean is such a fun, sarcastic, himbo-like character who is also very good at what he's very good at and very bad at what he's not very good at, and I enjoy his interactions with Indigo and Lantern Eyes, and it's so fun. We also have Tio's Darumi, which is the sequel to Ocean's Gadori. I mean, I love this duology. I still need to make a should you read for it. I'm working on it, because currently right now my words are, I love it, and that's not a video. That is a sentence. But this is a good continuation. It honestly, it takes off right where the first book leaves off, but it takes off slower than I think you would anticipate, and I love that. I really appreciated that we got to sit with our characters and their interactions, and I just love that. It's something I really enjoy. And then we have The Potency of Ungovernable Impulses, which is the newest Masa Plady novella, which is so fun. And Masa's making mistakes in this one, and it was hysterical, and it was just so... It was so good. It was so good. I had a lot of fun with that. So I have a should you read for that series. So if you were curious about The Mimicking of Known Successes, which is the first book in this Watson Holmes novella series, go check out that video. And then the last sci-fi, and I put it in sci-fi even though it's all over the place, but I love it, and that is We Will Rise Again. It is a short story anthology with some interviews and essays, edited by Malka Older, Anna Louise Newitz, and Karen Lord, and it is fantastic. If you are someone who doesn't necessarily want to put your head in the sand and like ignore the world around you, because you know you can't quite do that, but you also need a little bit more optimism and actionable steps in your life, this is great. Like, this is the perfect amount of you're not looking away and you're being fed something that helps sustain you, to help you exist in all of this. I really can't recommend this enough, and it's really well curated. It has a lot of really great short stories in it. And it will be the inspiration of a video coming out next week, probably. I have a sci-fi recommendation video on the horizon, and this is the big inspiration behind that video. So like I said, I didn't read that many new release sci-fi. I read a fair sci-fi last year, but not a lot of new releases. I feel like I was catching up. I have one more new release that's like on my TBR that I haven't read yet, and that is Where the Axe is Buried, but I have not read it yet. Hopefully I'll really like it. Maybe it'll be good for award season. I have no idea, but that's why I'm excited about award season. I want to see what I have missed. Okay, so fantasy. I've read a lot of fantasy. Like, a lot of fantasy. And these are kind of more in just the order of when I read them, from most recent to earliest in the year. So The Strength of the Few. This is the second book in the Hierarchy series. I probably will make a should you read for this because it's popular, and I feel like I have a pretty good middle-of-the-road opinion to provide to the interwebs. I thought it was a strong continuation from a relatively strong start to the series. I was not let down with where it picked up. Like, it picked up right where the first book left off, and I needed that. That was fun. I didn't reread the first book before going into this, but I did watch a few recap videos, and I felt okay doing that. we have The Sovereign, which hopefully at this point you now have a should you reads you can look at. And it includes, my review for The Sovereign, The Faithless, The Unbroken. I have C.L. Clarke's interview with me. It's just such a good ending to, I think, a very fulfilling series with some of my favorite characters that I have met since joining BookTube. What else is there to say? We have The River Has Roots. This is a novella darling that came out this year. It has great production qualities for the audiobook. There's singing, there's creek sounds. Like, if you want to feel like a folktale is being told to you, the audiobook for The River Has Roots is amazing. What I will say is The River Has Roots was good for me. I generally liked it. The short story that they put in that's going to be in the short story collection that comes out this year was better. I really liked the short story that was in this, at the back end of this. Both of them were about revenge, but I liked the second, the story about the revenge at the end more. But I guess The River Has Roots is more lyrical. The Isle in the Silver Sea. This is Tasha Suri. This is a book I liked but didn't love. And it's, again, the world building is really cool. I really like the themes of stories and how a land is built on stories and who controls the stories of the land, controls the image of the land, and how that can have detrimental effects if you keep trying to force narratives onto a space that aren't true. The themes are the strongest part. I didn't care about the characters enough for this to be an all-time favorite, and considering I know she can make me care about characters, I was a bit disappointed. Next up, The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I really like this. This is my favorite Joe Abercrombie. This is a hot take on the internet. But I had a lot of fun with it. I like that The Devils is heavily inspired by our geography. It means that I got to focus more on the character interactions and, their silly quests that they had to go on. It's definitely very, Suicide Squad adjacent, which I enjoy. I enjoy an anti-hero who has to do something they don't want to do and the humor that comes along with that. I will say some things that people thought of as crass humor, I didn't even clock as humor. I clocked it as descriptions. So, but that just comes from, I don't always read humor the same way as other people. Next up is A Ruin Great and Free. This is the third book in the Convergence trilogy, which has a series should you read and an author interview on the channel. And yeah, that was good. That was a very good series ender. Stuck the landing. Was very happy about it. And, the next one is a little bit more of a disappointment. This is The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the companion to The Spell Shop. Kind of takes place, at the same time as The Spell Shop, but in a different place with a character that is connected, like I said, to The Spell Shop, but there's really no overlap other than the world. And I think it was too cozy and not enough fantasy romance for me. And when I was in the fantasy romance part in that middle third, I was having a great time. And I did read it a lot in a day, so it wasn't like it was hard to read. I just don't like this genre the way that she's doing it, and potentially I just don't like this genre of fantasy. Next up is one of the darlings of the year, The Raven Scholar. Yeah, I like this one. Probably not as much as the people who love it, but I think it was really well paced. I really like the intersection of political drama and the murder mystery and how everyone is kind of shit. Everyone is a really bad character. The opening scenes, I think, are amazing. So I'm not going to tell you a lot about it because I think it's on the back of the book, or I think other people talk about it in reviews, but I think it is kind of fun to just experience the opening part of it fresh and just have no idea what's going on and just going no, that just happened? No. It was very fun for me. I'm excited for the second book, for sure. I cannot wait. I think this is just a really strong fantasy book, and I'm not surprised because I think this author has written in other genres that when she is using mystery in the fantasy space, that she does it with really good pacing. Speaking of mystery, we have A Drop of Corruption, the second book in the Leviathan series. I liked it more than the first book. Probably because, like I said, I think our main character has a bit more agency in this one. He's not as much of a wet blanket as I feel he is in the first one. I just feel like he has more to say and do, and he has more of a personality. I feel like he feels more frustrated and that comes through, and he feels like he can be more free with his thoughts, and I like both of that going on here. But also the mystery itself felt higher stakes. It's kind of like when you're watching your procedural TV show and, you know, it's like, oh yeah, we have a murder this week, la la la. But when you have the special murders, like the serial killer murders, then you perk up and you're like, oh, this feels higher stakes. That's how this book felt to me. And I think that's why it was more fun. We have Green Teeth, which is a fun little monster book. It's not a monster romance. I don't think so at all. If anything, it's about the friends we made along the way. Like, it's definitely more about that than about romance. If there was a romantic component, I have forgotten about it. That's how much I didn't, like, clock it. But we have a monster who lives in this lake, and one day a witch gets thrown in, and she saves the witch. The witch was thrown in because if she sunk, she was a witch, etc., etc. And they are trying to save this town that has this evil presence within it. And it becomes a bigger story about how magic has been changing along this land. They have to go on a quest to get stuff for the Fae to help them. And I really enjoyed, like I said, the friendships we made along the way, and that our main character is a monster. Like, she is a monster, she does monstrous things, and it means that sometimes her and her newfound friends do not see eye to eye, and it creates tension. I enjoyed this one quite a bit, and I think the audiobook is really engaging, and if you like T. Kingfisher, I think you will enjoy this. It definitely has a lot of her dark, whimsy stuff going on here, different author, of course, but I do think there's a read-alike to be found there. And then the last new release that I'll talk about, one of my favorite books that I read last year, The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. Again, a book tailor-made to me, my sensibilities. I love a magic school book. Period. End of story. You give me a magic school book, I'm just gonna have a fun time. I love school. I have been in school my whole life. Like, I have not left school. I keep switching schools. I have not left one. I have never not been employed or been at an institution of learning. Okay? So, baseline, I love it. It's from the perspective of someone in their mid-30s who's the director of magic. Again, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love that for me. She is both competent and a little too confident, so she makes mistakes, and that's where the plot gets to shine. I love that it obviously knows that it's in a magic school book, and it plays with those tropes. I had so much fun with this standalone story. I hope it gets some recognition in the award season coming up, because I think it's just so fun. And I think it's more than just fun. I think it has a lot of good thematic conversation about burnout in the workplace, balancing your passion for something versus taking care of yourself. I really love what they talk about in terms of teaching philosophies and how do you handle a school where you have some people who can use magic and some people who can't. And what is it like to have a moment in your life where you are changing career paths in your mid-30s? I think all of these things are really powerful and resonate with a lot of people, and it's fun at the same time, which is another thing I really liked about Some Desperate Glory, the other book by this author that I've read, is that balance of enjoyment and thematic resonance. So yeah, those are the books I read in 2025, and that's why I didn't really want to rank them. Like, I had some disappointments. I only had one book I didn't like, and largely I picked correctly for me and my taste this past year. What were some 2025 releases you think I need to read that I haven't read yet? I do have a whole video of 2025 sci-fi books that I've missed. So I am well aware of what I have missed there, but if you want to be like, but specifically, I think this would be your cup of tea, please put those down below in the comments. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, I don't know. Leave a bacteria for Everything is Tuberculosis. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.